Something that started as a joke DNA test turned into a full-blown identity crisis, and somehow I became the villain. Okay, so I need someone to tell me if I genuinely went too far, because this has completely spiraled, and I don't know how to feel anymore. I've been with my fiancé Caleb for 3 years. He's 29, I'm 27, and his family has this thing. Not a cultural appreciation thing, an obsession. They are aggressively, almost theatrically Scandinavian. Every single family gathering turns into a Viking documentary that nobody asked for. His dad owns 3 decorative axes. 3. They have never chopped anything. They just sit there looking important. And Caleb's sister Leela is on a whole other level. She will literally stop mid-conversation to say things like, "It's just my Nordic blood, I'm very direct." If she gets angry, it's her warrior ancestry. If she wins an argument, it's her Viking genes. It was exhausting, genuinely exhausting. But fine. Cringe, harmless, whatever, except then the comments started getting weird. Little digs about other cultures. This strange undertone that their bloodline was somehow purer. Caleb always brushed it off, saying they were just proud of their roots. I let it go, but it sat wrong with me. So last winter, Caleb did one of those DNA kits, purely as a joke. We weren't expecting drama. The results came back and he wasn't Scandinavian. I mean, he was, technically, less than 1%. Everything else was Eastern European, Central Asian, Balkan. The Viking warrior bloodline they had built their entire family identity around basically didn't exist. I laughed. I genuinely thought it was funny. He did not. He kept saying the test had to be wrong, and then he made me promise not to tell his family. They will absolutely lose their minds, he said, so I kept quiet, for months. Then last weekend, his family hosted what they actually, unironically, call a Nordic feast. His uncle showed up in a fur cape indoors. Leela had braided her hair and kept calling herself a shield maiden. I am not exaggerating any of this. At some point, his cousin Eric starts going on about how their bloodline traces back to real warriors, and Leela goes, "Yeah, it's why we don't back down like other people." And something in me just snapped. I don't fully know why. Maybe it was the smugness. Maybe it was the months of sitting on the secret while they made comments that made me uncomfortable. But I heard myself say, "You guys know Caleb's DNA results came back, right?" The room went quiet. Caleb looked at me like I had just pulled the pin out of a grenade. His mom said, "What do you mean?" And before he could stop me, I said it. All of it. Eric laughed first and said it had to be a joke. So Caleb, looking completely defeated, pulled out his phone and showed the results himself. And it just broke open. Leela stood up and said the test was a scam. Their dad went weirdly quiet and said the family had records. Caleb told him he had already checked those records and they didn't match either. That's when their aunt started crying. Not tearing up, actually crying, over a DNA test. But the moment that stopped everything was when their grandmother, who had been sitting quietly through all of it, said barely above a whisper, "Your grandfather made us promise we would never question it." The whole room froze. Caleb asked what that meant. She shook her head and said, "Drop it." And that was it. She said nothing else. Now the family is split down the middle. Half of them are insisting the test is wrong, and the other half has started pulling out old records and finding things that don't add up. Leela texted me the next day and said I had no right, that I destroyed something I didn't understand. Caleb isn't angry exactly, but he's distant. Like I cracked something open that was never supposed to come out. And I cannot stop thinking about what his grandmother said. Because this doesn't feel like a family clinging to a cultural identity anymore. It feels like a secret someone deliberately buried a long time ago, so I have to ask, was I wrong for saying it out loud, or did I just accidentally expose the thing this entire family has been protecting for generations? Because the grandmother knows something, and she is not going to say it. And now, I'm the one left wondering what Caleb's grandfather actually hid. Drop your theory in the comments, because I genuinely cannot stop thinking about this.